Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Salmon Prize Symposium. So, a little bit of background on the Salmon Prize, a little bit of background on me. So, I do not do salmon forecasting. I run competitions for my day job. So, I run the Anglers Atlas and My Catch. And what we do is we recruit anglers to basically be our field staff, but we do it through a competitive framework. Sometimes we call it a tournament. Sometimes we definitely don't call it a tournament. Call it the BioBlitz, call it a challenge. But using a competitive framework to recruit anglers to achieve whatever experimental designs we're after. The whole way this project started was 2 years ago at our conference in Bellingham when a fellow named Dick Beamish, I didn't know the guy, but that's because I'm from a different space. Apparently he's a big deal in fishery circles. And he was giving the plenary talk, and he says, how is it at a time we see a collapse of salmon on the west coast of British Columbia? At the same time, we're seeing an all-time record high of salmon biomass in the North Pacific. And that we don't know the answer to that question is both a challenge if you're one of the managers. But if you're geeks like us, it's like, ooh, there's mechanisms at play that are changing that we can't really dial into using the traditional conventional methods. And so how do we start going after that? I thought, could I apply a competitive framework where instead of we get anglers competing for a prize or for whatever, we get research teams competing. And I thought, well, the salmon run numbers are as close as we can get to actually consistent numbers that are verified, and as close to the truth as we can get. And we get that over run after run after run. Maybe that's what the competition is about, because then I can create leaderboards, then I can create a structured competition that doesn't require a lot of judgment. It's just like who gets closest to those numbers, that's how we rank them. But in addition, because we do want to get after mechanisms, that's going to be the holy grail. I don't know if it's possible through this method, but that was the idea. And if I get enough competing teams out there with different approaches, and I want people with different ideas, different theories, different ways of thinking about what's happening in the ocean and embedding that within their forecast, within the models. And I'm thinking at a very layman's term, just covariates. You know, what sort of covariates are you including in your predictions? And the idea is if I can get a broad enough cross-section, you know, think of like if I can get 100 teams, that's sort of the dream, 100 teams. Maybe if we get $1 million prize, we get 100 teams competing. All sorts of variations of models and forecasts. The idea is the covariates that are clustering at the best models will start to repeat themselves. And maybe there it's almost like an indicator, because it's still just correlation, an indicator of mechanism. That's the dream. I have no idea if it's even close to true, but that was sort of the background, so that got me into this. And so that's how I got sort of brought into this space, and I've got shiny object syndrome, so it was like, oh, this is kind of fun. So anyways, that's the origin of how this all took place.